the later chapters of Bhagavad Gita, that is Mam Anusmari Yuddhascha. Okay, so Krishna is advising Arjuna. You see, if you see the context of Bhagavad Gita, here Arjuna doesn't want to fight. He wants to go to the jungle, okay, become a sannyas. And Krishna says that taking sannyas is not an option now, because you're a kshatriya, you're in the battlefield. And because it is difficult, you want to run away. So that is in the mode of ignorance. In chapter 17, Krishna will clearly say that if you renounce our activities because it is troublesome, then that renunciation is in the mode of ignorance. And a student thinks that, okay, study is troublesome, I will leave study and become a brahmachari. Then that renunciation is in the mode of ignorance. Okay, a grihastha thinks maintaining grihasthi is very difficult. Then I will just leave my family and go to jungle. So that is in the mode of ignorance. Okay. So only when we renounce, because we know that serving Krishna is the ultimate aim, and we have love for Krishna, and then we renounce, that is in the mode of goodness. So in order to achieve that stage, we have to practice. And once we achieve that stage, then we can renounce. But renouncing things, renouncing occupation because it is troublesome is never recommended by Krishna. Okay, there's some people say, these Krishna bhaktas, they don't do anything because they are lazy people. Okay, but Prabhupada used to say, Krishna consciousness is not for lazy and crazy people. Okay, if you're lazy and crazy, Krishna consciousness is not for you. This is for hardworking people. This is for intelligent people. Okay, so, and that is what Krishna says, that Mam Anusmari Yuddhascha. And sir, because you are a grihastha, you are a kshatriya, and you are in the battlefield. So because it is troublesome, you want to leave, that is not recommended. So you have to fight by remembering me. Okay, you remember me and fight. Mam Anusmari Yuddhascha. And this is applicable to all of us in our daily walk of life. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made it more clear that what is the meaning of Mam Anusmari. He says Mam Anusmari doesn't mean that if we are the actual meaning, etymological meaning of Mam Anusmari is we keep Krishna in mind always, think of Krishna in mind, and think of Krishna in our mind, and then do everything for the pleasure of Krishna. That is the Mam Anusmari, and always Satataha Smarayate Krishna. Always remembering Krishna. But how can we do that? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that one of the way to remember Krishna always is to chant his name. At least every day for a certain amount of time. If we chant the name of Krishna, then that would amount to Satata Smarate Krishna. Okay. So we'll chant the name of Krishna. We'll offer the services to Krishna in different form, and then go on performing our occupational duties. Okay, so that is what is explained in the last sloka, last paragraph of this verse. Then Prabhupada is saying, how is this possible? How is this Mamanusmaritasya possible? How to remember Krishna always and then continue with their occupational duties? The Acharyas give the following example. If a married woman is attached to another man, or if a man has an attachment to a woman other than his wife, then the attachment is to be considered very strong. One with such an attachment is always thinking of the loved one. The wife who is thinking of her lover is always thinking of meeting him, even while she is carrying out her household chores. In fact, she carries out her household work even more carefully, so her husband will not suspect her attachment. Similarly, we should always remember the Supreme Lover, Sri Krishna, and at the same time, perform our material duties very nicely. A strong sense of love is required here. If we have a strong sense of love for the Supreme Lord, then we can discharge our duty and at the same time remember him. But we have to develop that sense of love. Arjuna, for instance, was always thinking of Krishna. He was the constant companion of Krishna, and at the same time, he was a warrior. Krishna did not advise him to give up fighting and go to the forest to meditate. When Lord Krishna delineated the yoga system to Arjuna, Arjuna says that the practice of the system is not possible for him. Yoyam yogas toya proktah samyana madhusodana etasyaham napashyami chanchalatva sthitam stiram. This is in 6.33. Arjuna said, "Oh Madhusudan, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and undurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady." But the Lord says, "Yoginam api sarvesam adgatan antaratma shraddhavan bhajate yomam samyuktatama mataha." Okay, so we'll come to that. What Prabhupada is saying in this paragraph, that how is it possible to remember Krishna and then continue our occupational duties or swadharma or varnashram dharma. Okay, so this occupational duties means swadharma. If we are a student, then our swadharma is to study. If we are a employee of a company, then our swadharma is to work for that company for 8 hours. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur gives a practical formula. Okay, what is that formula? That is the 8 plus 8 plus 8 formula. Okay, so what is that? 8 hours for body. Everybody should keep 8 hours for the maintenance of their body. And what to do with that 8 hours? Sleep for 6 to 7 hours. 6 hours at least we have to sleep, and 2 hours for taking bath, taking prasadam, and a little bit of walking, exercise. So minimum of 8 hours we have to keep for our body. Then 8 hours we should keep for our spiritual practices. All right. So what are these practices we can do in 8 hours? Like minimum 2 hours for chanting, 1 hour for reading, 1 hour for hearing, and then rest 2-3 hours for practical services. Okay, like preaching or cooking for Lord, deity worship, right? So prasadam distribution, book distribution. So all these are the practical services. So if you need more sleep, you may make it 9-7 and 9 hours for body and 7 hours for practical services. And then rest 8 hours should be there for our professional activities. For the student, it is compulsory for them to spend 8 hours for studies. For an employee, they should spend 8 hours for the employer. And most of the organizations, they don't demand more than 8 hours of your time. From Grihastha, okay, 6-7 hours of office hour and 1 hour, 1-2 hours for other things than office hours. So if we roughly follow these 8 plus 8 plus 8 formula, then our spiritual life will go smoothly. Okay, but if we'll be skewed, if we work for 18 hours per day, then we can never have a spiritual life, good spiritual life. Okay. And for those who are brahmacharis, those who are in temple, they need not spend that 8 hours for working. This is only for those who are either student or working as grihastha, having a family. But here Krishna gives another example. He says that while working, even while working, how to remember Krishna. He gives the example of a man or a woman, married man or a woman, who has attachment to another man or a woman. So then, especially, Prabhupada gives an example of a lady who is having a husband and also a lover. Okay. So she serves the husband more carefully so that the husband doesn't doubt that she has another lover. Okay, she doesn't want to be caught. She doesn't want to take divorce. Okay, she wants to be with the husband, but simultaneously get the affection from the lover. So she serves the husband's family very carefully so that they don't have any doubt. And then she can continue to have the association of a Paramal. Okay. So, and the same with a man who has another girlfriend other than the wife. If he has another girlfriend, then he wants to take care of the wife very nicely so that wife doesn't doubt. Okay. So that is why sometimes if husbands suddenly they become over affectionate, they take care of the wife a lot, then wives become suspicious. Why kuch aur to nahi chal raha hai? Okay, so, alright. So, and that is the way devotees behave. Like devotees love is Krishna. Okay. And because they love Krishna, while Prabhupada also says that when the lady or the man is taking care of the household, and that person always remembers the lover, that when to be united with him or her, when to talk to her, when to go. So all these things they always think of. Okay. And then do all the things properly. So like that, a devotee always thinks of Krishna. He always remembers Krishna. Okay. And then does his work properly. And then whenever he gets time or she gets time, that 8 hours is over, 8 hours of work is over, then they immediately start chanting, start serving, start hearing, they start direct service intensely. So for that, what do we need? We need to have love for Krishna. भगवान के लिए प्रेम है ही नहीं तो फिर ऐसे नहीं कर सकते. And if we don't have love, what to do? We have to develop that love for Krishna. And to develop, we don't have to artificially do something, because this love is always there. It is intrinsic to the soul to love God. We just have to revive that. Okay. And how do we revive? That is what Krishna is saying next. Now, when Arjuna asks that the yoga system that you told us in chapter 6 about the Dhyana Yoga, it seems very impractical. And controlling the mind and thinking about you always in mind is very difficult for me. So what to do? So Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesa madgatanantaratma. You don't have to do Dhyana Yoga. Krishna says that in order to remember me, you don't have to do Dhyana Yoga, because he says in chapter 6, text number, I think, second last verse, mein, Krishna says that karmibhyosi dhiko yogi. The yogi is better than karmis. Okay. So, and yogi is even better than jnanis. Okay. Yogi is better than karmi. Yogi is better than jnani. And then in the last verse of chapter 6, he says, Yoginam api sarvasa, among all these yogis, madgata nantarapna, those who invest their mind in me, Shraddhavan bhajate yom, with complete Shraddha, they serve me. Same yukta tamamata, they are best. Okay, so bhakti yogis are best, that Krishna is saying. Okay, of all yogis, the one with great faith, Shraddha, who always abide in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all devotees. Okay, yoga and the highest of all. That is my opinion. So, one who thinks of Supreme Lord always is the greatest yogi, the Supreme Jnani and the greatest devotee at the same time. The Lord further tells Arjuna that as a Kshatriya, he cannot give up his fighting. But if Arjuna fights remembering Krishna, then he will be able to remember Krishna at the time of death. But one must be completely surrendered in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Okay. So, Prabhupada is here saying that if one remembers me while performing his occupational duties, he can remember me at the time of death. We cannot think that, okay, my time of death is far away. I can just do whatever I want now, and then at the time of death, I will remember Krishna. Not possible. Okay. So that is why he is suggesting Arjuna, you try to remember me always now. Then you can remember me at the time of death. Then we were at the question that how do we do that? Because we can always remember Krishna and then do our activities properly. Only when we have love for Krishna. And because we have, because devotees love Krishna, they perform their occupational duties properly because they don't want to, uh, give an impression that devotees are useless. Suppose somebody has become a devotee and he is not doing his occupational duties properly, then what would be the impression? That ये devotees कोई काम कर नहीं होते, ये इनको काम धाम कोई अच्छे से आता नहीं है. They are not good, they are good for nothing, and that is why they are engaged in service of Krishna. So that is a kind of, we are degrading Krishna's reputation. Okay, so that is why whatever we are doing, we have to do it properly so that the impression goes to the world that Krishna's devotees are not useless. They're intelligent, because actually only intelligent person can accept Krishna consciousness. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 5, text number 32 or 35, Krishna says, the conversation is going on. Narad Muni says, Krishnam Varna Tusha Krishnam Sangopangasta Parsadam Yajna Sankirtana Pray Yajantihi Sumedhasa. It says Krishna will come in a dark complexion in this age of Kali, describing Krishna's activities. Krishnam Varanam, he will describe Krishna. And Tusha or Krishnam, he will come in a Krishna color, in a white complexion, in a golden complexion. Sa Anga Upanga Parsadam. He will not come alone. He will come with his parts and parcels, okay, and associates. Sa Anga Upanga Parsadam. And then what he will do? Yajna Sankirtana. He will inaugurate the Sankirtan Yajna. But who will participate in the Sankirtan Yajna? Yajantihi Sumedhasa. Those who are highly intelligent, they can only participate in the Sankirtan Yajna. Those who are fools, those who are, controlled by Maya Apurata Jnana, they may seem to be materially intelligent, but they cannot surrender into Krishna. And one has to be an intelligent of highest order, Sumedhasa, to appreciate Krishna and to follow Krishna consciousness, to participate in the Sankirtan Yajna. Okay. So that is why devotees do their work properly, and then spend their time and the time in the Krishna consciousness, and while acting they also think of Krishna. Okay. Then we work not with our body actually, but with our mind and intelligence. So if the intelligence and the mind are always engaged in the thought of the Supreme Lord, then naturally the senses are also engaged in his services. So superficially, at least the activities of the senses remain the same, but the consciousness is changed. The Bhagavad Gita teaches one how to absorb the mind and intelligence in the thought of the Lord. Such absorption will enable one to transfer himself to the kingdom of Lord. When the mind is engaged in Krishna's service, then the senses are automatically engaged in his service. This is the art, and this is also the secret of Bhagavad Gita. Total absorption in the thought of Krishna. Okay. So, Prabhupada here says that although we use our body for work, but the instruction comes from mind and intelligence. So we actually work through our mind and intelligence. Okay. And if the mind is engaged in the service of Krishna, If the intelligence allows us to serve Krishna, intelligence encourages us to serve Krishna, then automatically the senses and body is used in the service of Krishna. But if we just serve by body and not by mind, then that is never going to be sustainable. Okay? Koi bol diya कि you have to go and serve Krishna, we serve, and then but my mind is not there. I'm not convinced why I'm serving. Then I cannot maintain myself in that position for a longer time. Okay, I will leave the devotional service very easily. So engaging mind and intelligence is very important. And what Prabhupada says, that the whole Bhagavad Gita is all about engaging the mind in the service of Krishna, mind and intelligence. Manmana bhava mad bhakta, mad yaji mam namastu. Krishna says, mat mana. Okay. And he talks a lot about the mind. All right. But then, what are the instructions of Bhagavad Gita which helps us engaging our mind and intelligence in the service of Krishna? First, you see, intelligence has a lot of convincing power. If we are convinced of something through our intelligence, it becomes very easy to, continue that or to undertake that. Okay. And what is that intelligence? Intelligence makes us understand two things. Why we should do what we are doing. That is the function of intelligence. And that helps us to take decision that, okay, if I understand why I should do this, then what and how I should do this. So what, how, and why, all three questions are answered by the intelligence. And if intelligence is convinced, then it becomes easier. Like, in India, there is an exam called UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, which is very, very tough exam. And people have to do a lot of tapasya who wants to appear in that exam. And they become IPS officers. Okay, even IFS officers. So, in that exam, they leave watching TV, they leave social media, they leave even talking to friends. Okay. So, they sacrifice a lot in order to clear that exam. But how is it possible to do such a tapasya in this age? Because intellectually they are convinced that if I clear UPSC exam, it is a good thing for me. I will get a lot of money, I will get a lot of fame, I will get a lot of opportunity to serve. Okay. So all these things they're intellectually convinced, so that is why they're able to work hard. So that is why Krishna also says, Janma karma chame divya evam yo beti tattvata tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti swarjanma. So that is why Krishna urges us to understand him by tattva. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo beti tattvata. Okay, not just listening, but understanding it by tattva. And that tattvic understanding needs a lot of spiritual intelligence. Okay. So, when you understand that by intelligence, then the intelligence will be able to convince the mind, and mind will be able to guide the senses in the service of Krishna. And how to do that? Krishna gives the process. When he says Matmanana, he says in 9th chapter, Yat karosi yad asnasi, Yat juhosi tadasi, Yat tapasyasi kanteya, Tat kurusva madarpana. Whatever you do, whatever you want to give up, whatever you want to do charity, or do everything as an offering to me. So he gives the process. You want to distribute food to people, first offer it to Krishna, distribute prasadam to everybody. Okay. I want to give charity, then give charity for the construction of the temples of Krishna. Give charity for the propagation of the holy name of Lord. Okay. So everything, whatever, and you want to be very creative, you become creative in the preaching Krishna consciousness. Okay. Or you become creative in your field of work and submit the result to me. Use the result in the service of Krishna. So these are the ways Krishna has given by which we can convince the matmana ho sakte hain. And then what are the other things Krishna says? When he says matmana bhava mad bhakta is a very, very loaded term. And what he means when he says manmana bhava mad bhakta, he refers to the Prahlad Maharaj's teachings of 9 ways of bhakti: Sravana, Kirtana, Sravana, Archana, Bandhana. Okay, so all these things we have to follow. Then we are Mad Bhakta. We are following that principle, Mad Bhakta. So when we hear about Krishna, when we chant Krishna's name, automatically our mind is invested in the topics of Krishna. And this is, we can do a thought experiment. Like we watch a lot of Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever OTT platform we have. We just watch a lot of serials throughout the day and then go to sleep. What happens in the night? We dream of such things, such kind of things. And by watching continuously all those things, then our mind becomes so entangled in those things that we develop behaviors which are corresponding to those kind of thought process. And in USA, there was a study that why school students are taking guns to the school. Okay, so there was a study, and the study showed that the television programs, the violent television programs, are mainly responsible for this thought process of the children. They watch all these serials throughout the day, or at least 2-3 hours per day in the evening after coming back from school. Then they think they would also develop those traits. They are using gun is considered as cool, so they also use guns. Okay. In India, the college campuses now are marred with drug abuse cases. Why? Because in most of the Bollywood movies and songs, taking drugs, alcohol is considered as a kind of cool thing. But that is why they also follow that. So when we watch or hear things, then that has certain impact on our mind. And I will tell you one of my experience. Once I was counseling one of my friend. So they are undergoing a very difficult marriage. Okay. So I was counseling them for a long time. And that day, towards the end of the night, around 4 a.m. or so, I'm having a dream that I have a fight with my wife and we are going for divorce. And we are sitting on the court to settle the thing. And when I woke up in the guest room, not in the courtroom. So I was relieved. Okay, now I'm saved. But that was a very dangerous dream because I spent considerable amount of time in counseling that fellow, and that impression, got into my mind. So the same thing happens. When we hear about Krishna, we'll think about Krishna. I will also give the other example. In childhood, in our villages, I used to go to watch Ram Lila, Krishna Lila. Once I went to see Ram Lila where Lanka Dahan was there. Hanuman was burning the Lanka, and very beautifully they depicted the scene. They described the scene. We have some folklore called Pala. So there they describe all those things. And that impression became so strong that for 1 month, I was holding a gada and then roaming around the house singing the Ramayana song. Okay. So that was the kind of childhood we used to have. So that has so much of impact. When you hear about Krishna, then our mind will think of Krishna. When we hear about other things, our mind will think about that, because smarana is a consequence. Okay. Smarana is a consequence. And what are the active processes? Sravana and Kirtana are active processes. We cannot think of remembering something. That comes automatically. Okay, I will not say now I will remember about Krishna. What I will remember? If I have not heard about anything, then how do I remember? Right? So remembering is a consequence of Sravana and Kirtana. And the Sravana and Kirtana are active processes. We hear actively, we chant actively, we talk about Krishna actively, then this same thing will be reflected automatically in our mind, so that becomes Smarana. Okay. So those things we have to understand practically, that how mind can be engaged in this service of Krishna. Mind can be engaged in thinking of Krishna. Only when our Sravana Kirtana is proper, our mind is engaged in service of Krishna. Mind is engaged in thinking of Krishna. Otherwise, it will think of n number of other things. Okay. So there is a principle called GIGO. Okay. What is that GIGO principle? Good in, good out. Whatever input we give to mind, then the same thing will come out. Because this, the business process or any manufacturing process always follow a threefold process: input, processing, and output. So whatever input we give to the mind, the same thing will be processed there, and then similar kind of output will come out. So that is why those who are raised in slum, they raised, scolding people and becoming a bit rough, because those kind of things enter their mind. And this same thing is processed and that comes out. So when we give Krishna conscious input, the thought process becomes Krishna conscious and our behavior also becomes Krishna conscious. But what we do, we are like pendulums. Okay. We do some 1 hour of Krishna conscious activities, then 2 hours of sense gratification. All right. So then what happens? The mind always is troubled with the mix of both things. And then sometimes the other things, sense gratificatory things, becomes dominant. So same thing comes out. And when the Krishna Bhakti becomes dominant, then similar behavior comes out. Okay. So we are, like, pendulum. We are hanging, we are swinging from material to spiritual realm. So as far as we reduce our sense gratificatory inputs and then increase the Krishna conscious inputs to the mind, then the processing of the Krishna conscious things will increase in the mind and the output will also come out similarly, and that will be higher. And then this thinking of Krishna would be higher. So this is the mathematical formula that we can just think of in this direction. So modern man has struggled very hard to reach the moon, but he has not tried very hard to elevate himself spiritually. If he has 50 years of life ahead of him, he should engage that brief time in cultivating this practice of remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This practice is the devotional process. Prabhupada says that we are always engaged in giving this material input to the mind, engaged in all kinds of dharma, artha, kama, okay, not even moksha, economic activities and sense gratification. These two are primary, or kama and artha. Dharma and moksha has taken a backside. Kama and artha becomes prominent. Okay, but because we have got a very short lifetime, we should spend more time for Krishna consciousness. And exactly Prabhupada says the same thing that we just discussed. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Pada Sevanam, Archanam Bandhanam Dasham, Sakyam Atmanigatam. This is Prahlad Maharaj teaching to his classmates. These 9 processes, of which the easiest is Shravanam, hearing the Bhagavad Gita from the realized person, will turn one to the supreme to the thought of Supreme Being. Exactly, we just discussed that. When we hear about Krishna, then we can think of Krishna. Okay. This will lead to remembering the Supreme Lord and will enable us, and enable one upon leaving the body to attain a spiritual body, we just fit for the association of the Supreme. So if we don't do Shravana and Kirtan, neither we can think of Krishna now, nor we can think of Krishna at the time of death. This is a very straightforward thing. We have to understand. So if we want to remember Krishna at the time of death, okay, then what we have to do? We have to continue with our Shravana and Kirtan. Then we can remember him now and we can remember him then. So the Lord further says, Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanyagamina paramam purusham divyam yati parthanu chintayan. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path to Arjuna, is sure to reach me. So in 8.8, what Krishna says, he who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me. But then how mind can remember Krishna? Only when Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena. When we practice hearing and chanting, hearing and preaching, chanting, preaching, okay, speaking about Lord, all those things. Then only our mind can remember him. And Krishna says, he is sure to reach me. Okay, he is giving assurance. So this is not a very difficult process. So let me see how much is left. Should we complete it today or should we leave for some one more class?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Maybe
Yes.
for today it's like done. Maybe we can stop here, and if you have time next week you can reach, or otherwise I can manage. Prabhu, if you have time, please come, because you give very good insights. Like we don't understand this matters, but because you are related to these subjects, no, so it's very easy to understand with you. Otherwise,
yes,
I am like a
actually,
bookworm. Whatever is written in the book, I will just explain. So I don't have practical experience like you. So it's very good to have you today. Yeah.
Actually, it's good to understand it practically because we have to anyway apply it to ourselves. If we don't know how to apply it, then it just becomes a theoretical knowledge.
Just remains in the book. Yeah.
That is why I take a bit more time to explain so that people can relate that, okay, what it is, what does it mean by thinking of Krishna, how can we do that? Okay, all right, so we'll stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you have any question, we can take some questions. We have 5 minutes, and otherwise we'll stop.
Hemant Prabhu has some question.
Yes, Hemant.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavad.
Yes,
प्रभु ये जो क्वेश्चन है, एक्चुअली 2 क्वेश्चन है, ठीक है. सो पहला क्वेश्चन शुरू करता हूँ. सो दिस फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज बेस्ड अपॉन, लाइक फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम सम डिस्कशन विद फ्रेंड्स. ओके, तो वहां से क्वेश्चन ओरिजिनली आया है कि हमको बताया गया है कि कृष्णा इज द सुप्रीम गॉड है. डेमी गॉड्स बहुत सारे हैं, उनको आप अलग अलग इंडिपेंडेंटली सेपरेटली वर्शिप करो. हनुमान जी है, शिव जी है, गणेश है, ठीक है. सो उससे बेटर है कि सीधा डायरेक्ट कृष्णा को ही भक्ति करो. सब कुछ दैट्स अ मेन गॉड एंड दैट्स अ मेन सुप्रीम गॉड हेड. ओके, तो प्रभु अगर जब, अच्छा, दूसरा ये भी बताया है कि कृष्णा हैज पावर ऑफ पावर, मतलब उसके पास सुप्रीम पावर है, वो चाहे वो सब कुछ कर सकता है, ठीक है। उसने ही सृष्टि का सर्जन किया है, उसने ही ये डेमीगॉड का भी ओके। तो मेरा अभी क्वेश्चन ये है कि प्रभु कृष्णा ही सुप्रीम गॉड हेड है, कृष्णा सब कुछ कर सकता है, तो फिर ये डेमीगॉड्स का क्रिएशन क्यों किया? अननेसेसरली लिविंग अस इन कंफ्यूजन, के भाई लोग अभी भी कंफ्यूज हो रहे हैं। मेरे एक बेस्ट फ्रेंड है, बहुत अच्छा भगत आदमी है, उसका ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन प्रभु मीट ईटर ने ठोकना पीटना, उसका काम ही बहुत ही मतलब उल्टे रास्ते वाला था। और अभी उसको देखोगे प्रभु शिव की भक्ति में, वो बाप रे बाप बहुत आगे निकल चुके हैं। बट ही बिलीव्स शिव 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 शिव, दैट्स इट। तो कहने का मतलब क्या है कि अगर चाहे तो कृष्णा भगवान सब कुछ कर सकते हैं, तो ये सब दूसरे डेमिगॉड्स को बनाकर कंफ्यूजन क्यों किया है, क्यों खड़ा किया है? आई एम सॉरी
Okay.
प्रभु, बट
So this is Krishna is so merciful. I will give you an example from Ramayana to understand it better.
हाँ
Okay. So in Ramayana, I have already given this example many times in the morning class, so you might have heard it, but I will just repeat it for your understanding. Now, when Setubandh was going to be built, Hanuman was bringing huge mountains, and those squirrels were rolling on the sand. Okay, then they're actually dipping themselves in the ocean, rolling on the sand, and then they were putting those sands on the Setubandh. But there were so many in numbers. Some 200, 300 squirrels were there. And it was difficult for Hanuman to walk because there were so many, they were kind of blocking the road, and Hanuman did not want to stumble them. So what he was doing, he shoot them like this. What? I said, kinare ho jao, and don't come in front of me. So they were afraid because Hanuman is huge. So when Hanuman was angry, they were all afraid, and they were all gathered together in a corner, and they're all trembling in fear. Then Lord Ram saw this, and he called Hanuman. I said, Hanuman, can you come here? The Hanuman thought, okay, I might have committed something wrong. So then he went, and then Ram said, hey, Hanuman, what is this? Why do you, making the squirrels afraid? And they're trembling. Then Hanuman said, Prabhu, we have to build this bridge. And I'm bringing huge mountains. These squirrels are bringing small sands. It's not going to be helpful. Then they're obstructing me. Then Ram said, okay, I'm asking you one question. Can you please tell me, why do you think we are building this bridge? Hanuman said, we have to go to Lanka. We have to rescue Mother Sita. Ram said, no, that is not the purpose. Then Hanuman said, maybe to kill Ravana. He said, no, that is also not the purpose. Then Hanuman said, then what is the purpose? Okay, Ram said, you see, I'm sitting within everyone as Paramatma. And where I'm sitting in the heart. If I stop the heart to function, then Ravan will die within no second, no time. Okay, he will die. Because as long as his heart is functioning, he is alive. So I don't have to build a bridge, go to Lanka, fight with Ravan to kill him. But then Hanuman was confused, then why are we building such a grand bridge? Ram said then the real answer. He said, you see, Hanuman, all of you are my devotees. You are born here to serve me. And it is my responsibility to give you service. And you are serving according to your capacity. The squirrel is serving according to their capacity. You are giving your full strength to serve me, and the squirrel is giving her full strength to serve me. So my function is to give you service because it is in your benefit. You want to serve me. And all these works is only meant to provide service to my devotees. So why I have given this example? All the devotees, they are great devotees of the Lord. they want some service and they have some desire to serve Krishna creatively. And that is why Krishna gives them opportunity to serve Krishna in maintaining the universal affairs. And Krishna, what is Krishna as God? His function is to enjoy. Bhoktaram Yajnatapasa Sarva Loka Maheshwara. He is the Supreme Lord, but his function is to Bhokta, he is Supreme Enjoyer. And all these devotees are his energies and they are eager to serve him. That is why he created these facilities so that those devotees who are eager to serve him in a particular way will get an opportunity to manage the universal affairs, and by that they will render service to Krishna. Ganpati gets strength from Narsimdev.
Oh.
Narsimdev empowers him so that he can become Vinasana and do whatever he is doing. Okay. So this is the purpose of the creation of all these devatas. They are great devotees and they wanted service. So Krishna has given them the service. Now coming back to Lord Shiva, if your friend is happy in serving Krishna, please don't disturb him. Okay, he should continue serving Lord Shiva. Because Lord Shiva is a manifestation of Sadashiva, who is the incarnation of Lord Krishna in spiritual world. So he is not an ordinary devata like any other. Okay. So if he's, and according to the mood, okay, according to the mode that we are in, so if we serve Shiva without any expectation of material benefit, then Lord Shiva will guide him to Lord Krishna later on. So he will automatically be guided to Lord Krishna, because Lord Shiva is the greatest of the devotees. So there is actually no confusion. This system has a purpose, why it is there. So that devatas will get an opportunity to serve Krishna, and human beings in different modes of material nature will get an opportunity to at least go to the devatas and then gradually purify and then come to Krishna later on. Okay, and those who have material desires, they can go to devatas and get their desire fulfilled and remain in the material world if they want. So this is the love of Krishna. Krishna doesn't want to be a dictator to, so that I am the only God and you have to only worship me, you can't do anything else. So then where is the freedom? We wanted to enjoy, that is why he sent us. And then he created the facilities to enjoy. But that kind of loving Father Krishna is. So you have to appreciate. Actually, we should be, we will have more love towards Krishna if you understand the purpose of all these things. So that is why Tattva is important. That is why Bhagavatam starts with the creation. Sarga, Visarga. Chapter, abhi hamara chal raha hai. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10. Now Chapter 3 will start. I think today, Monday, Chapter 3 will start. Okay. What is that? Bhagavatam starts with Sankhya, the creation, so that we understand the purpose of creation, we understand Krishna better, and then we love him better. Okay, Prabhu? All right. So we are already overshooting time, so we'll stop here. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
If anyone can turn on their videos, it will be great. Prabhu would like to see your faces. You are not turning on the videos. Sorry, Prabhu.
Okay, no problem.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I have a question. Like you said,
Yes.
that whatever goes inside mind comes out. So that's why I have stopped going to the places where there is too much of mode of passion or ignorance. Like in the parties, or recently we had this Diwali Mela, in which there is a big sound, big noise, lots of people, and there is a stage performances. They are dancing and doing like all the kinds of Bollywood songs. And so like after coming into this Krishna consciousness, I cannot, my mind is just withdrawing and my Prabhu was so much involved in, like, he's one of the organizers, so he felt very bad because of me my son is not going. So he said that you both are, why you are like this. So Prabhu, like it's like a word, like dhobi ka kutta jaisi haal ho gaye. So it's very difficult to balance because mind is very flickering and it just takes it takes in a second. तो मुझे कभी डर लगता है कि ये सब चीजों में जाने से वो इंटरेस्ट आई हैव लॉस्ट. तो
I said I faced the same situation from the very childhood. I was never interested in marriages, parties, and all. So people are actually angry with me that why I was not attending their marriage ceremonies. Okay, and now though I have altogether stopped going to marriages and all. I just send some money, some gifts, and then, or if it is very close, I have to go. I just go meet them and then come back. And they also understand me. They said, no, this fellow doesn't enjoy, so let him. Oh, aaya bahut badi baat hai. So they understand. But these kind of parties, what happens sometimes, it's better that if Prabhuji, when he starts and then do more and more chanting, more and more hearing, you will also feel the same that you are feeling. Till that time, as spouse, and both way, like the husband or wife, both way, we make some adjustment, like once a while we can just go there, be there for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then come back. Don't associate with those kind of activities. Okay, so there are two things: attending and associating. When we are willfully associating with those kind of things, start enjoying those kind of things, then that starts affecting us more. Okay, so just 10-15 minutes, go there, attend, then come back and do your thing. So those kind of adjustment has to be there. Because to lead a good Krishna conscious life, we have to also have a good family life. We have to, we should not be very bad relationship with our spouses and all. That is not recommended. Okay.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Patitanang Pavanebhyo.
Namo Namah.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, if you have time, can you come next week? I will ask you here in India instead of asking on the phone.
I can't say, Mataji, because it just remind me on Thursday or Friday, so that I'll just cut my schedule and let you know. And today, actually, two things are simultaneously. There was a meeting, Gurukul meeting at 1 o'clock, and this meeting. So I was kind of, so I'll just tell you on Thursday or Friday, just remind me. Okay.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
तो नेक्स्ट संडे प्रभु जरूर आपका वार्तालाप होगा आपके साथ नेक्स्ट संडे.
Yes, maybe if I am available, then I can complete this introduction.
No, thank you for coming, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.